it to them like this. I water loaded up, knock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Oh, nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip and slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to drip. I do it to them like this. I water loaded up, knock back, don't miss. Y'all ain't gonna believe this. Got the preacher wife talking about rock that. If it ain't live, it ain't me. Oh, nigga, too deaf to lose, too shy to slip and slide. I'm too hard to fall apart. I'm too cold to get old. I'm too hip to drip. I do it to them like this.
Well, all right then, folks. Let's do it to them like this. Y'all ain't gonna believe this, but it's the Creeps. Welcome to the show, folks. It's HMW Sports Talk Live. I'm Craig Shelton from HoustonMediaWatch.com. I encourage you folks to, while you're watching the show, go ahead and use that smartphone. But you can do a couple things with that smartphone. You can tweet me at Craig Shelton HMW, and I definitely, if you have any questions or comments on the show, but definitely use that smartphone to go Google up HMW. That's the acronym for HoustonMediaWatch.com. And when you get there, well, you are at the website that spawned this show, HMW Sports Talk Live. We talk sports here, folks, live. This is a live show. We're here every Saturday, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. If this is your first time joining us, well, go tell your baby mama to get it ready for you every week at 6 o'clock on Saturday, because you got to get back home to check out HMW Sports Talk Live. Joining me in studio today, a couple of the guys from HoustonMediaWatch.com. They're part of the crew. This guy is Richard Walker. Richard kind of makes this show go. You see him in front of the camera today. You'll see him behind the cameras. Hey, he produces the show. What can I say? It's a dirty job. Somebody got to do it. And that guy will be Angelo Lawford, flanking my far left over there. And he is one of the bloggers, along with Lamont Mann, Jermaine Every, and other folks that contribute to HoustonMediaWatch.com. We are the Creeps, hashtag Creeps on Twitter, all right? Look, guys, we got a lot to talk about today, so I want to get it started right away. Now, later in the show, we're gonna kind of bring it home local later in the show and talk quite a bit about the Texans. We have former Texan, former Jet, played most of his career with the Jets. Former
you forgot former Dallas Cowboy. Most importantly,
I'm gonna get there.
Most importantly, former Dallas Cowboy. He got it right at the end of his career. Let's just say that.
At the tail end of his career, I wanted to say something else.
Yeah, say best things come last. Best thing comes last.
The Dallas Cowboy.
Thank you. Thank you. Respect the star. Thank you.
Former defensive back, NFL defensive back. My former radio co-host as well will be joining us on the phones from his home up in Dallas. Dallas.
In Dallas.
He'll join us on the phones, and we're gonna talk about John McClain's article that came out on Cron.com. It will be out in the hard copy in the Chronicle on Sunday, if I'm correct. I saw it come across NFL.com yesterday through my mobile app, and it just had excerpts from McClain's article. McClain spent some time, the Houston beat writer, Texas beat writer. He spent some time with Johnny Manziel out on the West Coast. Had some interesting comments from Johnny Manziel. The media took him. When I saw it on NFL.com, the headline said Manziel dares Texans not to draft him. That's not quite what happened.
Right.
John McClain brought up to Johnny Manziel, what if you're not drafted? Now, he did have some polarizing things to say, no doubt about that. But that's kind of what Johnny.
That's what Johnny football is.
And that's cool. So we're gonna say that for the second half of the show, and we'll discuss that with Marcus Coleman. He'll be calling in on the phones. Got a lot going on. Got the NBA All-Star game being played tomorrow. You had the Futures game played on yesterday. Terrence Jones got busy in that. I think, 14 points.
He looked good.
Looked good out there. So Houston getting their shine on. Dwight Howard, obviously, and James Harden playing for the West. Dwight Howard off the bench. James Harden has been elevated to start in place of Kobe Bryant. I think, but for me, the one thing about the NBA All-Star game, for me, the story is Lillard.
Yeah.
It's Damian Lillard. Because in a time and era when NBA superstars don't want to be involved in a lot of these games as far as these secondary events.
Right.
Slam dunk contest, 3-point. This guy goes out and enters, 5?
Everything. He's doing the skills competition.
Yeah.
He's doing the 3-point shootout, the slam dunk competition, the rookie game.
Yeah.
And he's an all-star, too. So.
And I don't want to complain too much about the superstars in the NBA not competing in some of these events because they play the best all-star game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Major League Baseball all-star games are pretty good. But
they put on a pretty good show typically.
Yeah. In the NBA all-star game, particularly in the second half, they get busy
Yeah.
in that. But I just kind of wanted to give that a mention. I don't, hey, not a lot to say.
He's a basketball fan. That's what I'm pleased with. That he's taking it and run with it, and hats off to him. I think it would be really impressive if he was to win multiple events.
Plus, it's actually good marketing, good branding, I think.
For him, no doubt, an up-and-coming kid like that.
So many events. So I think it's just a good decision all the way around.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of makes the other side of the argument that I was talking about with the superstar guys. They don't really need that.
No.
Think about it. If you're LeBron James, what do you have to gain? You have probably everything to lose.
If you don't win the dunk contest, they're like, wait a minute, you're LeBron. You're supposed to win.
If you do win it, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
You
exactly.
won because you're LeBron?
Exactly.
I mean, if you don't just outright dominate.
Right.
And let's be honest, you're talking about a subjective competition.
Yeah.
I like to call it a ooh-ah. Remember, it's like when you were in elementary school, if you're in the third grade, you know what I'm saying, and you punch a second grader, it's like, yeah, whatever. You're in the third grade and you punch a fifth grader, you get the ooh and all.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you get the hell beat out of you after that fifth grade girl, and she beats the hell out of you with a Valentine's Day box, you know what I mean?
Recalling old memories, Craig?
Recalling my memory.
Yeah, it sounded like me last night.
That's a whole other story right there, Richard Walker. That's kind of a, quote, grand idea. Inside joke, folks. You gotta watch this show every week to keep up with the inside stuff, because if you don't, you're just gonna be lost sometimes, and that's not on us. That's on you, because we invite you in every Saturday to talk sports with us right here. Chandler Parsons not being in the NBA, and I just want to say this, and you guys can counter it. I don't think Chandler Parsons is a snub not being in, and this was something I only heard locally. I don't think Chandler Parsons is not a no-brainer Hall of Famer. Chandler Parsons has a different expectation level because he was a second-round draft pick.
Right.
And he's a guy that's improved his game every year. So and he's a good player.
He's very good.
Going to get
He's
paid.
very good, yeah.
He's going to get overpaid. And we love Chandler in this town. We don't want to see Chandler go anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
But Chandler Parsons is not a no-brainer for an all-star. Anybody disagree with that?
No,
Nope.
no. And who would he replace? You always ask, like, if somebody was snubbed,
Right.
who are they going to take the place of?
And the other thing to think about, too, is that with the way that they changed the format, they lump all the front court players together, all the back court players. I'm not a fan of it, because that's why Dwight Howard got benched, because it's clear that Dwight Howard is the best center in the league.
Yeah.
But because he's a front court player, he gets lumped in with all the forwards. So you can't, if you do that, you can't start him over Kevin
But you know
Love.
what? The other side of that argument is, it would kind of be like Major League Baseball, which I don't like, where every team has to have a representative.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? When we had Jose Altuve, who probably shouldn't have been an all-star.
Jose Altuve should have been carrying the bats for the all-star.
Right. You don't want to. Well, we got to have a center, or X amount of centers. If you don't have X amount of all-star level centers in one conference, maybe league-wide you've got that minimum. But if you don't have 3 all-star centers, playing in the Western Conference or the Eastern Conference, just to see some guys get in there just because you got to meet a quota. And, me being an African-American man, I hate quotas. You know what I'm saying?
For Chandler, too, I mean, the West is loaded. So
It is.
If he was in the East, he would be an all-star.
I heard a little bit, didn't hear a whole lot to where I would call it grumpy whining, but I did hear a little bit, and I said, I made a note of it last week. We just didn't get to it on the show, but there are some topics I love having guests in. We get a guy like Dwayne Brown from last week, Marcus Coleman today, but having the continuity that we all have together at HMW guys from doing so much of this stuff together in different environments, certain topics when I know when I get the text from Richard, hey, I'm gonna be on camera today with you. You know, it get my juices flowing for certain things. I'm like, I gotta hit that today. You know, and that was something. You know, locally, I feel like that's something that we just needed to touch on. Something else I thought that we needed to touch on. NBA trade deadline coming up Thursday.
Right around the corner. Yeah.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Amir Asik, I mean, it, you know, appears to be going with the flow right now, or should I say, is he just going with the flow right now? You know, maybe thinking in lieu of him being traded, maybe you know, this is my opportunity. I don't think it's about that, because if it was all about that, it seems like you would have been on the court earlier,
right,
doing some things
to raise your trade interest.
Unless
yeah,
the injury was 100% what it was reported to be, and our speculation is just coming from the wrong place. You guys?
Well, I've heard that the Rockets are adamant that he was severely injured, because they said anytime he would try to practice, the knee would swell, and what have you. So I'm leaning towards the fact that he was just legitimately injured, and that it looks fishy, it looks funny, but it's honest though. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So I think it kind of falls in that realm.
Leave it to Angelo Lawford to drop a sometimes truth is stranger than fiction right here. I think you know who the intellectual guy is with HMW based on that.
His name is John Harris when he comes in.
Yeah, no doubt. David Stern is going. I just dropped my house note of a smartphone. David Stern, former NBA commissioner, of course, is going basically from the commissioner's office to the Hall of Fame. He was elected on Friday to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Quick lesson, guys. Remember, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's the Naismith Hall of Fame, which is different than professional football's Hall of Fame, different than baseball, because basketball, they count everything.
Yep.
You know, if high school or whatever, you know, college, certainly college, which is why it turned a lot of people the wrong color, but it's the very reason why there were talks of Yao Ming being Hall of Fame eligible, because what Yao has meant to basketball internationally, globally. So when we talk about the Basketball Hall of Fame, I always keep that in mind. It's not just about your pro career.
Right.
But as I was saying, David Stern is definitely going to be a part of the 2014 class. Others, I want to talk to you guys, see what you think about this.
Okay.
Others that were nominated, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway. Man, Tim Hardaway, that crossover dribble.
Ooh, two-step.
You could just be in the Hall of Fame. Anytime you add fame to something, okay, well, he's just famous for the crossover.
Right,
You know what I mean? But Tim Hardaway, Kevin Johnson, who's great player, overrated dunk on the Dream.
Yeah.
The Dream was falling back.
From the weak side.
We got to get that film and break that dunk down.
Yeah.
And let me tell you why. Because Phoenix, and I had this for last week and I didn't go to it, but I'm going to it today. Do you know that Phoenix, remember Jeremy Foster, Jay Fizz?
Yep.
Used to be with CBS Radio?
Yep.
He's working up in Arizona. He texted me last week. He says, Craig, here in Phoenix, they're doing a KJ dunk on Dream night.
What?
They did a special night.
Okay.
For that overrated dunk. I give him credit for
it was a nice dunk for even trying. He gets
6'9" guys couldn't dunk on the Dream.
Yeah.
When the Dream challenged them.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
He stuffed Shaq and Robinson.
Let's be honest.
But here's one thing.
He stuffed Xavier McDaniels on a two-handed.
That was nasty. I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Here's the other thing too.
1 minute.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too. They need to follow up. Kevin Johnson dunked on Dream Night by Kevin Johnson's ass got blocked later on in the same game by Dream. You remember that? Yeah. He tried it again. He got.
I'm not knocking KJ.
Hey, you're a great player.
Yeah, great player.
I think you deserve the slot, but hey, it's overrated.
I think it's more guts than anything, more than actual dunk.
Yeah.
It was the elementary rule.
Right.
Again, because it was a little guy.
Right.
Because Dream was falling back on one leg. It wasn't like Dream went up to make a block.
Exactly.
If KJ had any soul, he would come out on TV. He would go on ESPN tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning.
If anything, it speaks to how great Akeem was, because you're shocked that he dunked on Akeem. If that was Tree Rollins, you'd be like, eh. I think I could dunk on Treat Rollins right now with flip-flops on.
Hey,
But-
man, look, when we come back from the break, we're going to continue with Richard Walker and Angelo Lawford right here on HMW Sports Talk Live. And I want to talk about another guy whose name is a part of this induction class to the 2014 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And there's a very good reason I want to talk about it. His name is Spencer Haywood. And I don't know if you folks remember what happened last year with Spencer Haywood, but he has another significance to NBA basketball. Historically, we want to talk about it a little bit right here today with these two guys on HMW Sports Talk Live. I want you folks to hang in there. We're going to run to a break, and we'll be right back.